So I'm not going to talk about laws or policies here, totally setting that aside. This is strictly safety information. It's important to remember that even if you are practicing secure storage, or if you don't have a gun in your home, you can't be sure about other people's homes. You cannot be sure about how responsible other people are being, and that's where the Be Smart program becomes helpful. So how do we be smart? Let's start with S. Secure your guns in homes and vehicles. 13 million households with children contain at least one gun. And the majority of children in gun-owning households know where the gun is stored. There are lots of studies on this. People think that kids can't get to them or don't know where they are, can't reach them, it's hidden away. Yes, they can. Studies have shown the kids always know where it is. And scarier, a lot of them have handled the guns in the home, though the parents had no idea that happened. So what do I mean about securing guns? Guns should be stored locked and unloaded, with ammunition stored separately. Hiding a gun is not securing a gun. Research also shows that secure storage is associated with a decreased risk of firearm suicide and unintentional firearm injury among children. One study showed that households that locked both firearms and ammunition had a 78% lower risk of self-inflicted firearm injuries among children and teenagers, and an 85% lower risk of unintentional firearm injuries. Some commonly used storage practices include a cable lock, lockbox, or firearm safe, as well as storing firearms unloaded with ammunition stored separately. M, model responsible behavior. Every law-abiding adult has the right to decide whether or not to have a gun in the home, but you can't rely on a curious kid not to find a gun. The majority of children are aware of their parents, where their parents store guns. More than one-third reported, that's where it is, more than one-third reported handling their parents' guns, many doing so without the knowledge of their parents. Nearly a quarter of parents did not know that their children had handled their gun in the house. It is always an adult's responsibility to prevent unauthorized access to guns, not a curious child's responsibility to avoid guns. Talk to your kids about gun safety, but remember that's a precaution, not a guarantee. One study found that young children who go through a week-long gun safety training are just as likely as children with no training to approach or play with a handgun when they find one. So modeling responsible behavior means that smart adults make sure that kids don't have the opportunity to access guns. That said, you can't control the environment that your child is in all the time, so you should teach them not to touch a gun if they come across one, real or pretend, and give them the tools to get out of a dangerous situation and alert an adult. As an adult, it's your responsibility to do everything you can to prevent them from getting in a dangerous situation to begin with. A, I mentioned there are approximately 5.4 million children in the U.S. living in a household with at least one loaded unlocked gun. That's why you need to ask about firearms in other homes your child visits. The A in SMART is ask. Think about some of the other things that we talk about when we send our children to other people's houses, or our grandchildren, any children in our lives. Are there any, or if someone's coming to our house, any allergies? Do you have pets in your home? Is there a pool on the property? What about car seats? Can we drive each other's kids? Who's going to be home for the play date? Are there siblings? Are there Uncle George? Does he live with you? Who's in your house? TV and screen time, electronics, alcohol access. You build it right into that conversation. Asking about guns in the home should be as natural as asking about any other safety issue. It is the #1 killer of children. It has to be a conversation that we need to have. It can seem awkward at first, so try making it a part of your general safety conversation. You might try asking via email or text if you're uncomfortable at first. R is let's talk about recognizing the role of guns in suicide. Access to a gun can mean the difference between life and death. As our children get older, you may need to consider taking a look at your storage methods. If you've been using a simple cable lock, you may want to change to a gun safe. The older they get, the more resourceful they get, and the more we have to act accordingly. Also, if you know your loved one is in distress, you might want to consider temporarily removing a gun from the home, because most people who attempt suicide do not die unless they use a gun. In fact, 90% of suicide attempts with a gun result in death, which is a much higher fatality rate than any other means of self-harm. And this contributes to the fact that 40% of child suicides involve a gun. Research shows that secure firearm storage is associated with a decreased risk of child firearm suicide. And our last point is T, tell. That is the power of being smart. We have heard from people that because of Be Smart, and this is true, my friends will attest to this because I gave them this presentation, and it was something we hadn't really thought of before, and they said, oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't think of this, and we need to have this conversation. And I have a 7-year-old, so it's, you know, that time in life where we're sending them out to other people's homes and we're not going with them. So ask about the presence of guns before their children go to other people's homes, that they have talked to family members about guns in the homes, when they have recognized the role of guns in suicide, and that gun owners are modeling responsible behavior as a direct result of Be Smart. It's important that people who own and work with guns are part of this conversation. Research shows that law enforcement, the military, and hunting or outdoor groups are particularly effective at communicating safe storage practices. So, in closing, since the inception of this Be Smart program in 2015, thousands of volunteers have been trained to deliver the Be Smart message at community presentations, tabling events, and other venues. And we've held over 6,000 events in all 50 states. We've also presented at a variety of state and national conferences for organizations such as the National PTA, Safe Kids Worldwide, and the American Medical Student Association. Be Smart is presented at Rotary Club meetings, PTA meetings, Chief of Police Association meetings, in homes and at doctors' offices, just to name a few. The more people talk about Be Smart, the safer we all are from gun violence. So that is one of the very concrete messages that we can give as an organization and as a society about reducing the gun violence that we see. Safe storage is a really hot topic right now, and it's something that we really hope to see people taking seriously. Oops, I covered my page. So, gun violence is preventable. I hope that you've learned some things today about what that means. I hope that you've learned a little bit about how to take care of yourself and how to take care of your community and how to take care of our larger society as it relates to gun violence. Thank you for listening.